Velkommen alle sammen. Today we are continuing the series on the 6 gifts that the gods received from the dwarves early on in the mythology. So I did the 3 gifts that the gods received from the dwarves Sindri and Brukker, but before that the gods received 3 gifts from the dwarves called the Sons of Ivaldi. I covered the other 2, and this is the final one. We're speaking about Gungnir, Odin's spear. So as usual, we look at the translation, attestations, and theories to discover this. First, Gungnir, translated, just means the swaying one, or swinging one. So this is another easy translation that the linguists pretty much all agree upon. So that's what it is. And as usual, the gods and items and deities are always metaphors for something else, or kenning as they would be called, but I'll go into that in just a bit. But for now, on to the attestations. Gungnir pops up quite a bit in the myths, comes in the Prose Edda. This is the story we all know, that Loki cuts off Siv's hair and Thor gets pissed off and threatens Loki, so then Loki goes to the Sons of Ivaldi and they make some new hair for Siv, and they also make Skidbladnir and Gungnir, who they gift to the gods. And it tells here how the spear is so well balanced that it can hit any target, no matter the skill or the strength of the wielder. Also comes up in the Prose Edda, telling that Gungnir will be carried to Ragnarok by Odin, and Odin will attack the wolf Fenrir with it. So we also have Gungnir in the Poetic Edda a couple of times. In Sigurdrifumal, the Valkyrie Brynhildur tells Sigurd that runes could be carved on Gungnir's point to bring secret magic power. That's the only clear mention, I believe, that comes in the Poetic Edda, but we do have a few mentions in the myths about a spear that we're pretty sure is Gungnir, but we can't be 100% sure. For example, in the poem Völsbo, the Aesir and the Vanir War officially starts when Odin throws a spear over the heads of the Vanir gods. It's probably Gungnir, of course, but it doesn't use Gungnir's name there. And we also find in Havamal a stanza where Odin is hanging from a tree wounded by a spear. Very famous stanza, and we think that is probably Gungnir also. There are a couple other vague mentions of a spear, but we just don't know. We do find Gungnir mentioned in some other sources, not mythological sources that give us any clues, but it's mainly skaldic poems referring to different names of Odin, calling Odin like Gungnir's Shaker or Gungnir's Bear or something like that. And of course the semi-mythological Ynglinga saga, which tells that Odin and Njord graze themselves with a spear to sacrifice themselves to Odin. So Odin again here sacrificing himself to himself. Anyway, that's about it for the attestations. On to the theories. So as you know, the myths all work together, and the 3 gifts that the gods received from Brukker and Sindri, they're all believed to have to do with the formation of our body and soul when we are created. So these are pretty clear, but before this, the gods received 3 gifts from the Sons of Ivaldi. So we are looking for things here that are there before our body and soul is formed. So Skidbladnir represents the womb. Siv's hair, what is believed to represent, is wheat or agricultural plants used probably in some sort of fertility ritual. I just did a video about that you can check out. So Gungnir, it could mean either something inside the mother's body or something external that has to do with birth. So what Gungnir represents, I'm really not sure about this one, honestly, so I always ask you guys what you think. That's why I make these videos, so we can get all our minds on it and discover the lost beliefs of our religion. But I'm going to share with you the only 2 theories that I have read on this. The first theory is that Gungnir represents some aspect of our thoughts, like logic and intelligence and sharp mind, and the act of, just figuring things out, like intelligence. And how they are sharp, and our thoughts are sharp, and they always find their target no matter the strength of the wielder. And Odin, of course, represents the spirit, or universal consciousness, universal spirit. And the spear is the sharp thoughts of both ourselves and the universe. I don't know, that theory, it hasn't been explained too well in anything that I have read, but it's a possibility, or it's definitely worth some thought. The second theory is that Gungnir represents the umbilical cord. This is a theory by Varg Vikernes and Marie Cachet. He has some great theories, and some of them I think he's 100% right, but some I definitely don't agree with. And this one about Gungnir, I'm not super convinced. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. You guys can read about it in his book if you want. The link will be in the description, but I'll do my best to explain it here. He basically writes about the stanza in Havamal where Odin is hanging from Yggdrasil, wounded by a spear. So Gungnir's name is not specifically mentioned in this Havamal, but we all assume it's probably Gungnir, and that the theory is that Yggdrasil is the placenta, and the spear is the umbilical cord, where memories, energy, DNA, and secrets from past lives are transferred into our bodies when we're born. So it makes very good sense in this case, also since the translation of Gungnir, remember, means the swaying one or swinging one, just like the fetus sways and swings on the umbilical cord. But we have these other attestations of Gungnir, and it puts some holes into this theory, like why does Gungnir show up in the poem Sigdrifumal like this? Or the fact that the Aesir and the Vanir war was started by Odin throwing a spear. Some of it makes sense, like the fact that Gungnir is so perfectly balanced that it always hits the target no matter the skill of the wielder, just like the umbilical cord always attaches right to the baby's belly button, no matter the health or skill of the mother. But what about, these stories about the Ragnarök when Odin attacks Fenrir with Gungnir? So I don't know, this theory has some missing parts. I'm 50-50 on it, whether I believe it or not. I really like a lot of Varg's theories, but the problem a lot of the time is that he will take one myth or one stanza, and the theory fits with that perfectly, yeah. Like the theory of Gungnir representing the umbilical cord does for sure make sense in the context of the Havamal stanza here, but there are all these other attestations of Gungnir, and they need to be explained as well. We can't just take one part. We can't just have a theory fit with one attestation. The theories have to fit in with all the attestations. So yes, Varg might be right here, but it requires some further explanation. It has to fit with all these other things as well. So that's why I'm 50-50 on this theory, but I'm definitely open to other options. So if you guys have any theories that fit in with all these attestations, let us know in the comments what you think. That's really my favorite thing about this channel, is to hear people's thoughts about these things, because a lot of it is just too difficult. The real understanding of the meanings are lost, but that means we can really be creative and come up with the best solutions to everything to make it all fit. So that's all I'll say for this video. Vi ses nästa gång.